3 spine-chilling vacation tales, terrifying secrets unveiled from haunted summer getaways. The Johnson family seemed perfect: 2 kids, a dog, and a pristine white picket fence. But now, they were desperate for a getaway from their picture-perfect lives. A summer road trip to the Oregon woods sounded like a dream. Wind whipping through the windows, they sang along to the music, excitement bubbling in the air. The sky, however, loomed over them like a shroud, dark and heavy. Little did they know, their quest for nature's tranquility was about to plunge them into a nightmare. Upon arriving at the charming yet eerily quiet cabin, a chill crawled down their spines. Surrounding trees stood like silent guardians, whispering secrets the Johnsons couldn't understand. The locals, with their sunken eyes and cryptic warnings about the forest's history, sent shivers through their bones. "Stay close to home," they said, faces pale with unspoken fears. Sam and Lisa shrugged it off. Surely it was just small-town superstition. The first night, they set up campfire festivities. Emily and Jake roasted marshmallows, laughter bubbling, but an unsettling vibe clung to the air. The trees rustled, shadows darted at the edges of their vision. "Just the wind," Sam said, but the children exchanged worried glances. As they sat in the dark, playfully smacking each other with game pieces, a strange whisper caught Jake's ear, a soft hissing, almost like his name. He turned, eyes wide, heart racing. Nothing was there. The storm rolled in by day 2, the wind howling through the trees like an angry beast. Power flickered and died, plunging them into a suffocating darkness. Sam's phone? Completely dead. It was as if the forest itself was snuffing them out. The walls began to close in. With dread pooling in their guts, they rummaged through dusty corners of the cabin, discovering faded photographs of a family from years past, their smiles almost manic, eyes gleaming with something sinister. And then came the knocking. Thud, thud, thud. Sam opened the door to find Clyde, a rugged man with a toothy grin that felt wrong. "Just checking on you folks," he said, but his gaze lingered a beat too long, flitting over their shoulders into the shadows. Something in his presence sent a pulse of instinctual fear through Sam. The air thickened, heartbeats raced, and the knots in their stomachs twisted tighter. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days melted into an oppressive silence, shadows growing darker with each passing hour. That night, as rain slashed against the windows, Jake and Emily lay wide-eyed. Muffled murmurs crept through the cracks of the log cabin, beckoning them with an eerie seduction. Mom and Dad dismissed their fears, clinging to the notion of family unity, but something sinister was brewing in the very bones of that place. Exploring the village offered no solace. Windows shattered, porches sagged, the hushed tales wrapped around buildings like a shroud. Locals averted their eyes, whispers echoing tales of those who ventured too deep into the woods, never to be seen again. In their hearts, fear blossomed. In their minds, the realization settled: the darkness wasn't just a shadow in the trees, it was hunting them, down to the last flickering candle. Their panic reached a fever pitch. Clyde appeared again, his smile now a mask of something darker. As thunder roared overhead, the echo of his laughter danced in the corners, entwining with the secrets of their past. The climax of dread hung over them. Could they escape the forest's clutches? Or, worse yet, would they become part of the next haunting story whispered about in chilling tones? As the door creaked open and shadows deepened, one question filled the cabin with terror: what waits just beyond the threshold? The wind howled outside, an uninvited guest that rattled the very walls of the cabin. The darkness felt alive, crawling with unseen eyes and whispers that sent chills down the family's spines. Sam stood at the door, heart pounding, breath quickening. Every creak echoed like a warning, every shadow felt like a promise of dread. "What now?" Lisa murmured, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Let us just wait it out," he said, struggling to keep his own fear in check. "It's probably just a raccoon or something." He tried to smile, but the corners of his mouth barely lifted. "Or Clyde," Emily whispered. Jake nodded, clutching his sister's arm tightly. They glanced toward the windows, where streaks of rain blurred the outside world. Thunder rumbled, a low growl that seemed to grow closer. Then, it came again, thud thud thud. The knocking was back, louder, more insistent. "Sam, maybe we should just call the police?" Lisa suggested, but the urgency in her voice rang hollow. The phone screen remained dark and dead, lifeless like their surroundings. Suddenly, the cabin felt smaller, like it was closing in on them. Shadows flickered along the walls, grotesque shapes morphing as they passed the candle's weak light. Fear laced through them, tightening around their throats. "Can anyone hear it?" Jake asked, voice trembling. "There's someone out there," Emily pleaded, eyes wide with terror. "We should leave." "Where?" "The storm's too bad." "We'll get lost," Sam snapped, urgency giving way to frustration. But he felt it too, the ground shifting beneath them, the weight of something lurking just outside their refuge. Thud thud, the noise intensified, escalating into a crescendo that drowned out the rain. Sam swung the door wide, a fierce instinct propelling him forward, desperate to confront whatever nightmare lay beyond. What he found froze him in place. There stood Clyde, only now he wasn't alone. A group loomed behind him, faces obscured by the night and rain. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the candlelight like predators ready to pounce. A low murmur rumbled between them, a chant that sent a ripple of icy horror through Sam's veins. "What do you want?" he shouted, voice cracking under the weight of fear. "Just a chat," Clyde replied, stepping closer, his terrible grin widening. "We've been waiting for you." Shadows writhed behind him, shifting like restless spirits. The porch creaked, Sam felt the air thicken with a palpable dread. Inside the cabin, dread coiled tighter. Lisa gripped the children, shaking. They could feel the walls pulsating, the very heart of the cabin throbbing with an ancient fear. "We need to go," she urged, panic rising. Sam whirled around, ready to usher them into the fray, but as he turned back to the doorway, Clyde's figure seemed to shift, the air shimmering around him in unnatural waves. "Not so fast," he growled, the shadows behind him curling closer. "You've come to witness what lies in the heart of the forest. You can't escape that easily." In that moment, realization hit like a thunderclap. The Johnsons weren't merely lost, they were caught in a trap woven long before they arrived. The forest had called to them, and now they were ensnared, bound by an ancient curse that thrived on fear and treachery. As the chilling laughter erupted from the shadows, Sam's chest tightened. The forest hungered, and they were its prey. What would happen next? Would they succumb to the darkness? Or could they unravel the sinister web before it was too late? The thunder roared once more, but the real storm was about to begin. The ground beneath Sam felt alive, shifting with every heartbeat. The shadows crept closer, intertwining with those of the children and Lisa, wrapping them in a cloak of despair. "Stay back!" Sam shouted, desperation fueling his voice as he stepped forward, trying to shield his family. Clyde laughed again, a low, chilling sound that echoed in the night. "Protect them all you want, but they're already part of the promise," he sneered, gesturing to the figures behind him, cloaked in darkness. Their eyes glowed with a sickly hunger, and Sam's stomach lurched at the thought of what awaited them. "What do you mean?" Sam demanded, though fear twisted his insides. The wind howled louder, driving rain against the cabin walls, mingling with the sinister laughter that seeped into his bones. Clyde leaned closer, and the rancid smell of decay washed over Sam. "This place craves your fear. It thrives on it." Sam recoiled, instinctively pulling Jake and Emily closer. "You're not just visitors, you've been chosen. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the candle sputtered. Shadows expanded, wrapping around the family like tendrils reaching for a lost meal. We want to become a part of this. Lisa cried, her voice rising above the storm outside. The figures behind Clyde began to whisper, their voices merging into a horrifying chant. The sound seemed to swirl around the cabin, an incantation that twisted reality. Sam grabbed the nearest object, a heavy lamp, and swung it wildly. The glass shattered against Clyde's shoulder, sparking a moment of chaos. The chanting echoed louder, reverberating through the very foundation of the cabin. Clyde's grin faltered, but only for a moment. You think you can fight it? He rasped, a glimmer of rage sparking in his eyes. It has already begun. A deafening crash of thunder splintered the air, and darkness surged forward, invading the cabin like a force of nature. The children cried out, fear painted their faces white as the storm outside seemed to bleed into their sanctuary. Sam! Do something! Emily whimpered, her small body trembling against his leg. He felt an overwhelming surge of protectiveness, mixed with a paralyzing dread. He had to act. Get to the back room. Now! He ordered, pushing Lisa and the children toward the only place that felt remotely safe. The shadows writhed, trying to close in on them as they backed away from the door. Sam felt the air grow heavy, as if it were pressing down on him, posing an almost unbearable weight. He knew they couldn't stay here much longer, but fear held him, freezing his feet to the floor as Clyde's malevolent laughter threatened to drown out everything else. Run if you must. But the forest won't let you leave. Clyde stepped closer, his hand reaching out. Sam felt the temperature drop, a chill that crept beneath his skin. This was no ordinary night. The forest had been alive, and it wanted something. It was a predator, hungry for their despair. Then, something snapped inside him, a flicker of defiance igniting in the depths of his fear. Get out! He shouted, lunging at Clyde's outstretched hand. A primal scream erupted from deep within as he pushed against the suffocating darkness. Thunder roared overhead as the shadows loomed, fighting for control, vibrating with a strange energy. Would he be able to break through? The urgency clawed at him. Just then, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the scene, revealing Clyde's twisted face twisted in rage. In that moment, a glimmering figure emerged from the storm, pale and ethereal. It hovered at the edge of the cabin's light, and in its eyes, Sam could see a glimpse of hope, but hope could be dangerous. What would happen when the storm finally broke? Would it bring salvation or something worse? The thunder echoed once again, the crashing waves of chaos intensifying, and the children clung to Sam's legs, their eyes wide as they faced the unimaginable. The blinding light flickered and faded, leaving Sam momentarily disoriented. It felt as if time stood still. Thunder rumbled, shadows writhed, and the air shimmered with a malevolent energy. The figure that had appeared was becoming clearer, its features ethereal yet strangely familiar. Who are you? Sam gasped, his heart pounding in his chest. You must listen, the figure whispered, a voice like rustling leaves. You are not alone. The promises Clyde made were not your own. Get away from my family. Sam shouted, instinctively placing himself between the figure and his wife and children. The faint glow pulsed, the figure undulating like mist. Your strength lies in unity. Together, you can fight this. Clyde's eyes widened with a mixture of shock and amusement. Oh, a ghostly savior. How quaint. But she cannot save you. The pact is real. It binds you now. He took another step forward, shadows billowing in his wake. Sam felt Lisa's grip tighten on his arm, her breath uneven as fear radiated through her. What do we do, Sam? She whispered, her voice trembling. Hold on to each other, Sam replied, but could feel despair creeping in, whispering doubts that wormed into his mind. The shadows around them thickened, almost palpable and suffocating. Jake and Emily pressed into Sam's legs, their eyes wide with terror. With every heartbeat, Clyde's twisted smile widened. You see? The forest hungers, and it feeds on your doubt. It wants you to turn on each other. A force pushed against Sam, an invisible hand clawing at his thoughts. He could feel the pull of panic, the irrational urge to flee, to abandon his family and run. But no. He wouldn't let fear win. Not like this. Clyde's laughter rang out, cold and mocking. You won't escape. You're already a part of the game. Just as desperation was about to consume him, the glimmering figure stepped closer, its voice a soft, melodic whisper. Focus on your love. Let it guide you. Stand firm, for fear is its greatest weapon. The storm outside intensified, and the very walls of the cabin quaked. With renewed determination, Sam clenched his fists, locking eyes with his family. We're stronger together. Remember that. As if in response, the shadows recoiled slightly, hesitation creeping into their suffocating grasp. Sam seized the moment. We have to fight back, he declared, raising his voice above the raging storm. Clyde. Whatever it is you think you own here, you're wrong. Clyde's expression twisted into anger. He stepped closer, the shadows swirling violently around him. Foolish man. You think you can challenge the forest? You're in its grip. With that, a deafening crack shattered the night as the cabin trembled. The spectral figure turned to Sam again, its eyes gleaming with urgent wisdom. You must break the chains of fear. You must choose. Sam's mind raced. His heart thudded painfully against his ribs, and he scanned the room. Clyde was advancing, shadows clawing toward him with insatiable hunger. Every instinct screamed to find the nearest exit, but he couldn't leave Lisa and the kids behind. Not now. Together on 3. Sam shouted, gathering his family close. 1, 2, 3. They huddled tight, hearts pounding as they focused on their love for one another, their determination burning brighter in the darkness. Maybe they could fight this, whatever it was. The figure began to swell with light, pushing against the darkness surrounding them. But just as hope flared, a sudden silence blanketed the storm, a silence so profound it snuffed out their courage. Brace yourselves, Clyde hissed, and the very shadows around them erupted, the world tilted dangerously as the shadows lunged. Would they hold on, or would they succumb to the forest's sinister embrace? The cabin shuddered, the ground trembling beneath their feet, as reality twisted again. The storm was growing more chaotic, and time was running thin. What would emerge from the darkness? Could they find the strength to resist what awaited them? The shadows surged forward, a dark tide eager to consume them. Sam's heart raced, the air thickened with dread. Don't let go, he shouted, squeezing Lisa's hand tighter. Each pulse of fear seemed determined to tear them apart, but he couldn't allow that. Mommy! Jake cried, his voice raw with terror. Emily muffled her sobs against Sam's leg, her small body trembling. The warmth of his family anchored him in the chaos, but he felt it slipping. The shadows were relentless. Suddenly, the ghostly figure flared into brightness, throwing dazzling light like a beacon amidst the encroaching darkness. Sam! You must reach inside. Fight for them. The figure's urgency pierced through the cacophony around them. But how? Terror gnawed at him, pulling him under. Think, Sam. Think. He muttered, searching his mind for a plan. The memory of their summer picnics, laughter under the sun, and shared dreams flickered in his mind like fireflies. Clyde! He called, voice booming against the storm. You think you can break us? We're a family. Clyde's laughter rang hollow, a vile echo that bounced off the walls. Family? That's an illusion. Here, the forest consumes your bonds. As Clyde stepped forward, the shadows wrapped thicker around him, making him look even more monstrous. It jerked Sam back into reeling anxiety. No. I refuse to believe that. Hold on. Whispered the figure, its light pulsing. Use the light of your love against the shadows, they can't bear it. Fear was a beast clawing at Sam's insides, but so was hope. He sucked in a deep breath and shouted, "We can't be broken. We love each other. That love is our shield." A pulse of light surged from their united hands, rippling outward against the encroaching darkness. For a heartbeat, it felt like real magic. Gleaming tendrils of light shot forth, illuminating the cabin, and the shadows flinched, recoiling as if scalded by their connection. Sam felt the power ebb within him, but he couldn't relent. "We won't let you divide us." His voice thundered, raw and defiant, carrying the weight of every family moment they'd ever shared. Then the light faltered, flickering against Clyde's wicked grin. "Foolish man," he spat, and the shadows surged forward like a wave. Panic slammed into Sam. They were bright, but not strong enough. If they lost focus, stay together. Sam commanded, the last word carrying a burst of energy. The spectral figure danced between them and Clyde, radiant in its fight against darkness. "Concentrate. Your love is a weapon. Fight." Suddenly, the shadows lunged outward, coiling around the light, trying to snuff out their hope. Sam heard Jake whimper, and the truck of their unity began to splinter under the pressure. As Clyde advanced, teeth gleaming, shadows writhing like snakes at his command, a cacophony filled the air, a chorus of whispers mixing with the storm. It clawed at Sam, anticipation turning to dread. He focused on Lisa's eyes, shimmering in the maddening darkness. "Remember the nights we spent around the campfire?" "I do," she cried, clutching tighter. "Think of the memories. Of the love we carry." Sam shouted, his voice echoing in the chaos, an anchor of strength. The figure pulsated, light battling dark until gather it all. "Send it back." The shadows shrieked, darkness collapsing inward. Doubt twisted inside Sam, a final thought, a pulse of fear. What if they weren't strong enough? Just as despair threatened to fold over him, the light ignited with an intensity he'd never imagined, cascading outward with a force that made Clyde stagger. "No!" he howled, rage spilling from his form as the shadows flared and writhed. But as they pushed back with all their might, there came a shattering crack. Was it the cabin? Or was it reality itself? The figure drew closer, face illuminated and flickering in Sam's focus. "You haven't yet seen what's in store. The forest keeps darker secrets." And then, everything went blind. Sam felt the grip of his family fade as they were yanked from the moment, leaving nothing but terror echoing through the empty space. "Are we safe?" Lisa's voice was a whisper lost to shadows. "Are we still together?" Emily's question cut deep. Sam gritted his teeth, wrestling the chaos inside himself. "I don't know." With ominous silence wrapping around them, where would the shadows take them next? Would they uncover the forest's darkest secrets, or would they be swallowed whole? The darkness felt heavy, a living entity pressing against them. Every instinct screamed for Sam to fight back, to escape this nightmare, but uncertainty clawed at him. "Stay close," he whispered fiercely, forcing himself to breathe through the rising panic. Where was the light now? And then, just as abruptly as they had been taken, there was a flicker. It came like a soft sigh, the shadows retreating momentarily, revealing an expanse of a twisted, gnarled forest. Trees loomed overhead, their branches jagged and claw-like, extending into the starless sky. This wasn't the cabin, they were somewhere else, trapped in an impossible realm. "Mommy." Jake's voice was small, quivering as he searched for comfort. "It's dark. I'm scared." "Me too, buddy," Lisa responded, clutching him tighter, her voice trembling just like her hands. Sam could feel his heart pounding against his ribs, urgency settling in his bones. "Everyone, gather around me," Sam commanded, struggling to maintain control. The eerie stillness was oppressive, the air thick and unnaturally cold. He could see their breath hanging in the space between them like ghosts clinging to an echo. We'll find a way out of this. But with every step they took, dread rippled beneath the surface. The trees creaked ominously, as if whispering secrets not meant for human ears. Vision blurred as shadows darted just beyond the edge of sight, twisting into figures that crumbled like ash when looked at directly. Sam! Look! Emily pointed, her wide eyes filled with terror. Trembling, she gestured toward a flickering glow between the trunks. The light wavered, beckoning them deeper into the woods. Was it hope? Or a trap? The spectral figure had warned them. Darkness held dark secrets. Stay here, Sam declared, stepping forward despite the warning bells in his head. I'll check it out. No. Don't go. Lisa cried, trembling. The sound of her voice cracked and shattered the night's heavy silence. With hesitation clawed deep in his chest, he listened. Suddenly, shadows surged forward again, a sinister retreat of tendrils writhing against the trees. The small glimmer in the distance pulsed with every heartbeat. Come back. Jake's panicked shout sliced through the thick gloom. It was enough to draw Sam back to his family. Okay. We'll stay together, he shouted, masking his own uncertainty. But as he stepped back, the light flickered again, revealing twisted figures within the trees, faces unformed, mouths gaping, pleading for release. Sam froze. They were people, once. Were they lost souls of the forest? The light began a desperate dance, pulsing faster, guiding and daring him to move toward it once more. Sam, what if we don't belong here? Emily whispered, her voice barely above a breath. But if we don't find a way out, we'll be trapped like them, Sam said, pressing his lips together. Anxiety twisted in his gut, the trees shook with an unseen wind, leaves spiraling down like warnings. Shadows began to close in, hungry and voracious for the warmth of their fear. Hold on to each other, he cried, heart racing as he grasped for his family. Together, we face whatever. A sudden roar erupted from the depths of the forest, primal and deadly, a sound that vibrated painfully in their chests. It wasn't Clyde's laughter this time, it was a beast, something more ancient and sinister. The ground trembled beneath them, and Sam's voice caught in his throat. Run! He screamed, but uncertainty ripped through the air again. In a world that twisted reality, would they truly escape? And as they fled into the darkness, the looming presence trailed behind, relentless and hungry. But in that darkness, did they even know what hunted them? And could they possibly face their deepest fears to turn the tide? The darkness swallowed them whole, a suffocating blanket enveloping each frantic breath. The pounding of Sam's heart resonated in his ears, louder than the roar that had surged from the depths of the woods. His mind raced where to run, what to do. The flicker of the glimmering light behind them became a cruel beacon, taunting. Did they dare to turn back? Faster! Don't look back! Sam urged, his voice strained as he pulled Lisa and Jake along. The gnarled branches reached for them like skeletal fingers, scraping against their jackets as they sprinted. Lisa's breath was hitching, panic rising in her throat. Sam! What was that? What was chasing us? I don't know, he shouted, urgency tightening every word. Behind them, an echoing growl rolled through the trees, deep and wet, as if something ancient was waking from a long slumber. Emily stumbled, her foot catching on a root. Wait! She cried out in fear. The underbrush crackled loudly, each rustle amplifying their horror. They could almost feel the cold breath of the unseen creature just behind them. No time. Get up! Sam pulled her to her feet, their eyes wild with fright. He could feel their fear boiling over, a heady mix of desperation and chill. As they charged deeper into the twisted forest, shadows skittered just out of reach, grotesque shapes slipping between the trees like phantoms. The air grew thicker, making every breath feel like they were inhaling ice. Then, suddenly, the light that had beckoned them flickered again. This time, it burst forth in a blinding flash that painted the forest in sharp relief. "Follow it!" Emily yelled, straining ahead, hoping against hope it was a way out. Sam nodded, heart racing, a faint glimmer of hope igniting in his chest. For a fleeting moment, it felt like salvation. The ground changed underfoot, grass gave way to a hard, cold surface. They stumbled forward into a clearing, surrounded by towering rocks that echoed the presence of unseen eyes. And there, in the center, was an altar, built of stones worn smooth by centuries, gleaming ominously in the eerie light. "What is this place?" Lisa asked, dread pooling in her stomach. Shadows began to cast long fingers across the clearing as the light dimmed. "Wait, let us just figure this out," Sam said, his voice a mix of caution and confusion. As they gathered closely, the frantic growling receded for just a moment, replaced by a chilling silence, almost expectant. That quiet, something shifted. A sound, soft yet palpable, slithered through the air. An ancient whisper wound around them, like fingers curling into their chests. "You are not alone." Every hair on Sam's body stood on end. The feeling of being watched pressed down on them, heavy and suffocating. "We need to go," he yelled, but just as he turned, a figure rose before them, materializing from the shadows. It was obscured but appeared humanoid, its form etched in darkness, with eyes that burned like embers in the night. "Join us," it hissed, the voice a slithering motion, sliding deep into their bones. Jake screamed, hiding behind Lisa's skirt. "What do they want?" Sam's heart raced as he tightened his grip on Emily's hand. "Run!" he yelled again, but as he wrenched his body to the side, the ground began to quake. The altar's stones vibrated, sending ripples of terror through each of them. Dread filled the air, that gnawing terror lurked in the darkness once more. "We can't stay here," Emily cried, but the ethereal figure stepped closer, its burning gaze locked onto Sam. In that moment of chaos, he knew the darkness wasn't just chasing them. It was waiting for them to turn, to surrender to despair. They'd have to face whatever fear lay behind that gaze. With one last deep breath, Sam took a step toward the light once more. "We fight!" he shouted, resolve igniting in his heart. But would the glimmer lead them to salvation or deeper into damnation? And as they raced toward the unknown, the shadows began to howl, echoing through the trees, preparing for the night's grand feast. They plunged into the unknown, that flickering light guiding their frantic steps. Sam could see it now, ethereal yet bright, a fractured promise of hope slicing through the thick wave of despair. But as they sprinted toward it, the ground beneath their feet trembled violently, as though the earth itself cried out in warning. "Keep moving," he shouted, clutching Emily's hand as panic surged alongside adrenaline. It felt like running through molasses, each step a battle against some dark force trying to pull them back. Sunlight filtered through the trees, but the darkness etched itself deeper into their hearts. The blinding glow sputtered, revealing just enough of the clearing's twisted beauty to paralyze them momentarily. Shadows loomed like devouring monsters, waiting for their resolve to evaporate. The altar stood unnaturally still, beckoning, whispering, "Join us." Frozen, Jake's breath came in short gasps. "It's not real. It can't be real." His eyes darted around, searching for escape. "Yes, it is. Move!" Sam screamed, fear molding his voice into a plea. They border-checked the altar, a burst of breath waiting to explode. The stones appeared almost inviting, ancient carvings glowing faintly. A petrifying curiosity sparked inside Sam. What if they touched it? What secrets lay within those unyielding stones? But just then, the shadows shifted, forming a wall that pooled around them with a dreadful intent. "Whatever you do, don't touch it," Lisa cautioned, eyes wide but unwavering. But it was too late. Emily's hand slipped away, her resolve breaking as she stepped forward, captivated. "I need to know," she whispered, agonizingly drawn. "Emily, no." Sam lunged forward, horror wrapping around him as she reached out. The instant her fingers brushed the stone, a thunderous roar emanated from the depths of the forest. The ground convulsed violently, cracking like dried ice. The air thickened, pressing down on them like a heavy fog. Darkness swirled around the altar, tentative yet menacing. Then it happened. The leaves fell silent. The growl fractured the night, echoing 1,000 times over, drowning out their frantic breathing. "Run!" Sam shrieked, but a shadow darted between them, sleek like smoke. Jake grabbed Lisa's arm, pulling her away from Emily. In that frantic struggle, Emily stood frozen, eyes glazed, entranced. Light spilled from the altar, illuminating dark secrets that had been kept for centuries. The shadows seemed to reach for her, whispering ancient truths wrapped in silk of terror. "Join us," it hissed again, echoing off the rocks like a relentless mantra. Warmth surged through Sam as he grasped Emily's shoulder. "We have to go. Snap out of it." But her gaze remained fixed, unmoving. The shadows twisted closer, pulsing like a living nightmare, forcing Sam to grapple with reality. "Don't leave her. We can't abandon her," he shouted through his panic, as the entity's eyes locked onto him, an unsettling grin splitting its face, but the darkness whispered promises of power, acceptance, salvation. Emily swayed slightly, caught between the call of the creature and Sam's desperate pleas. The moment hung suspended, saturated with dread, threatening to snap at any second. "Emily!" Jake called, a tremor underscoring his voice, gripping onto the last shred of hope. Suddenly, realization burst like a crack of thunder. Sam seized the moment. "You're stronger than this. Remember who you are. Remember us." A flicker of clarity passed across her features. The grip of the shadows slackened, just enough to break their hold. With a gasp, Emily blinked rapidly, the light returning to her eyes. "Run!" she yelled, finally breaking free. They turned as one into the throbbing dark where the creature remained waiting, its hunger unquenched. But the moment didn't last. In their wake, a deafening howl erupted as the entity pursued, unleashing its fury upon the night. Branches snapped, roots writhed, and fear chased them once again, more insistent than it had ever been. Sam's heart thundered, clamping his mouth shut to stifle a scream. They charged recklessly ahead, just wanting escape, not knowing if they were fleeing or playing into the darkness's hands. The woods blurred past them, tunnel vision overwhelming Sam. Adrenaline surged like fire. But then came a new sound, deep, reverberating, summoning from the depths with an unearthly resonance. It tugged at the very marrow of their bones, and ahead, another flicker aglow, barely visible through the trees. Was it salvation? Or did it lead even deeper into horror? As they raced toward it, the shadows roared behind them, and dread whispered on the wind. Did they dare to hope once more? Would the darkness finally reveal what it truly wanted? Branches clawed at their skin as they barreled through the underbrush, the unseen entity snaking its way closer, every step ringing with urgency. Each heartbeat thundered in Sam's ears, drowning out the world around him. Emily's grip tightened around his hand, desperation mingling with confusion as they sprinted into the blossoming glow ahead. The pulsing light flared, vibrant and hopeful, a stark contrast to the malevolence that writhed behind. Sam's mind spun. Was it just another trick? A mirage crafted by the darkness they fled? Or could it genuinely be the way out? Just a little further, he urged, dragging Emily along with Jake and Lisa flanking them, all their faces set in grim determination. Then, like a hammer crashing down, the shadows lunged. A thick tendril lashed out, striking the ground beside Lisa with a ferocity that made it explode into splinters of ancient bark. "Go! Now!" Sam screamed as they barely missed their impending doom, terror fueling their speed. The glow enveloped them, and with it came hope, transient yet fierce. It illuminated the faces of stone statues, twisted guardians standing sentinel before an open cave entrance. "What is this place?" Jake gasped, his voice trembling as he gestured toward the darkness within. "It might be safe," Sam puffed, drawing in ragged breaths. Maybe they. A bone-deep chill permeated the air, cutting him off. Something sinister erupted from the shadows, spilling into the light. Visions of a swarm of clawed figures swam before their eyes, their mouths stretched impossibly wide in silent screams. A monstrous silhouette loomed larger behind them, shifting, coiling, ready to pounce. It was as if the forest itself conspired against them. "Get inside!" Emily yelled, her voice echoing into the cave like a desperate prayer. They stumbled forward, collapsing into the open cavity, hearts racing. The cave was cool, dark, and smelled of damp earth. The shifting light filtered through the cavern's entrance, casting warped shadows on the walls. Sam could scarcely breathe. He felt the eyes of the darkness peering in at them, searching for the weakness within their souls. "Are we safe?" Lisa's voice quivered, eyes wide with terror. "For now," Jake whispered. But even as he said it, a flicker of doubt twisted within him, a gnawing suspicion that the cave was alive, pulsating. The walls seemed to breathe, exhaling an oppressive dread that enveloped them. Suddenly, from deep within the cave, sounds began to stir, hissing whispers that merged into incoherent murmurs. "What is that?" Emily whispered, pressing closer to Sam, fingers intertwined tightly. "I don't know," he replied, panic pinching his voice. "But we have to stay quiet." The whispers grew louder, and shadows danced on the walls, flickering in and out of focus. They spoke in a foreign tongue, chilling and rhythmic, a chant that clawed into the back of Sam's mind, threatening to pull him under. "Can you hear that?" Jake asked, eyes darting nervously around. "Yes." "What are they saying?" Emily swallowed hard, fear creeping back into her voice. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. A low growl reverberated deep within, shaking the stones. "We need to leave." Sam urged, adrenaline spiking once more. But as they turned to flee back towards the entrance, a dark figure blocked their path. Tall, shapeless, and entrenched in shadows, it loomed like a horrific sentinel, eyes glowing with ancient malice. In that moment, Sam saw the truth. The cave wasn't a sanctuary, it was a snare. Trapped in the depths of darkness, would they become part of the whispers or find a way to escape? "Turn back." The shadows seemed to hiss, wrapping around the figure like a shroud. He felt a surge of panic strangle him as time slowed to a crawl. They couldn't go back, but moving forward meant confronting whatever malevolent force awaited them. A choice loomed. Face the darkness or remain forever encased in its twisted embrace. With a choice to be made, what would they uncover next? And what horrors lay within the very heart of the darkness? As the suffocating gloom closed in around them, Sam's heart raced. He could feel the weight of dread clinging to his skin, slick and clammy. The figure before them shimmered with menace, eyes glowing ominously, pulling the breath from his lungs. "Stay together," he shouted, tightening his grip on Emily and Jake's hands. Lisa held tight on the other side, her face pale but resolute. They were cornered, and fear pulsed through the air like a living thing. The figure spoke, voice deep and laced with an echo that vibrated through the very stones beneath them. "You should not have come here. You have awakened what lies in the depths." Every word resonated like a drum, sending tremors through Sam's chest. "No." Sam pressed forward, shielding his family with his body. "We're not here to feed your darkness." In his heart, he knew they had to confront whatever this entity was, had to face the very fear that had chased them through the forest. They couldn't back down now. "We want to become part of your whispers." With every ounce of bravery, he took a step toward the shadowed figure. The air thickened, heavy with an ancient malice that pressed against him. He focused on his family, recalling their laughter, their love, memories that glimmered brighter than any darkness. "We are stronger than you," he shouted again, laying down his challenge. The figure recoiled slightly, as if struck, twisting in the shadows, which rippled like water. "Foolish mortals think love can conquer," it hissed. But Sam pressed on, adrenaline fueling his resolve. "Together," he cried, and the conviction in his voice rang clear. We love one another, and that binds us. As if responding to his passion, a surge of warmth unfurled around them, pulsing in time with their heartbeats. The glow enveloped them in a radiant shield, pushing back against the overwhelming darkness. The creature screeched, a sound that split the air. Each shriek felt like ice embedding itself in their souls. "Hold on," he urged, gripping his family even tighter, his voice a steel thread in the midst of the tempest that raged around them. In that moment of clarity, Emily's small voice piped up, trembling yet fierce, "You can't take us." And Jake, his eyes wide yet earnest, chimed in, "We're not afraid." Their defiance shone brilliantly, and Sam felt the darkness crackle at the edges, a fraying tether pulled taut. Shadows retreated, unable to bear the light that spilled forth from their togetherness. The cries surged higher, a cacophony of anguish fading into the ether. "Keep pushing," Lisa yelled, her voice determined, unwavering. With every heartbeat, they shouted affirmations of love, family, determination. Their combined strength washed over them like a tide, drowning out the whispers, drowning out the menacing figure. The shadows began to evaporate, dissipating like mist at sunrise, as the ground quaked beneath their feet. Then, with one final surge, they broke through. They catapulted into the light a white, radiant burst that swallowed them whole, pushing back the darkness until it was no more than an echo, a distant memory. The cave around them shimmered and fell away, and they found themselves standing in the forest glade once more, the cabin in sight, like a beacon of homecoming. Breathless, Sam turned to his family as the reality of their escape settled in. They embraced, hearts racing, tears mingling with laughter. The weight of dread evaporated in the light of their love. They had faced the darkness together and emerged, stronger. The woods echoed with a final whisper, a promise that the darkness, while ever present, could not hold them captive. They had conquered it not with sword or flame, but with unity and their unwavering bond. As they made their way back to the cabin, hand in hand, Sam glanced at the others, at Lisa, at Jake, at Emily. They looked weary yet emboldened, and beneath the lingering shadow of what they defaced surged the bright spark of hope. It entwined around them, shielding them from the remnants of fear. In that moment, the Johnson family understood the most important lesson of all: no darkness can consume true love. And as they packed up the remnants of their trip, each in their own way, they were grateful for the journey that had led them deep into the heart of their family's strength, always together, and always moving forward. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss captivating stories that grab your heart. Smash that like button now to keep the algorithm fed and thriving. Flood the comments below with your reactions and theories about this mind-blowing conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Let's spread the love and courage.